I mentioned what Thomas Paine said years ago when he wrote the book Age of Reason. In and around that same time, around the late 1700s, there was a Reverend Thomas Malthus, and he said he made a very controversial statement that probably was the beginning of the eugenics movement, a white supremacist movement based on the fact that a person with a certain color hair, certain color eyes was meant to be more powerful and more intellectual than anybody else. Now, his paper was Essay on the Principles of Population, and he said that misery and vice is God's way of controlling population, and that philanthropic aid is a sin. Now, taking that into context of all of this stuff we're hearing now, Pat Robertson saying that the Haitians deserved what happened to them because they'd offended God, and then you look at the Pope and his covering up of some 200 young boys that had been raped by one of the priests. I see a powerful network that's overshadowing the powerless, yes, regardless of the age, regardless of intent. How much of that is playing into what we're seeing now when you hear about the Jen Wrights and the Eddie Longs, and God only knows how many other folks have gone out there and done something that was not only offensive to the church, but offensive to humanity.
Right. To me, I don't see any separation between, I think this is where the rubber hits the road. An individual man that hears, if you take the face off of this thing, the Pope or these mega pastors, if you take the face off of them and you say a man committed this crime, X crime against humanity, the court of public opinion is going to be ruthless in its pursuit to execute judgment. I don't see where wrong is wrong and right is right. And the assessment that this writer made has everything to do with witchcraft that's going on today, trying to manipulate people into doing the things they want them to do for their own benefit. I want to get back to this Jen Wright situation if I can for a minute, sir. Mm-hmm. Here's the question on the floor. A church makes $1.4 million a year. The pastor and his wife derive $1.1 million from that. That leaves $300,000 a year for the rest of the church to do all their operations and deal whatever they're dealing with. How can that church be an effective ministry in that particular city, engaging someone else where the pastor is taking over 80% of the revenue? What does that say about the people who continue to support that ministry, even though this man has already been indicted and has proven to be a liar to the federal government, to his people, and to his family, and yet they still support it? The answer is pretty clear, is that people will believe what they want to believe, no matter how obvious the evidence is to the contrary.